Us as human beings want things as quickly as possible. For example, if we want food, we literally want it like that. And this is why fast food or takeaways are so popular. If we want an item that we've been really, really looking for, we'll try and go on Amazon Prime and get that next day delivery. That's why that's so popular. If we're feeling pretty lonely and we want to hook up, we've got dating apps. These are shortcuts to try and find a way around certain outcomes. And this can get transitioned to fat loss or fitness, which is ultimately why a lot of people tend to take steroids, because they want a shortcut to that outcome of being jacked as fuck. Obviously, sometimes they take steroids because that's the only thing that they can take in order to be in with a chance of winning a certain competition. But that aside, the majority of people tend to look to shortcuts when it comes to some kind of fitness goal. But the thing is, when it comes to fat loss specifically, there are no shortcuts. There are no quick fixes. There is not a magic pill that you can take which will instantly result in you losing 10 kilograms overnight. And the methods which can be portrayed as shortcuts tend not to work in the long term. And if they don't work in the long term, then in my opinion, they don't work at all, because any kind of diet or any kind of method of losing weight should work indefinitely in order to constitute as a long-term fix. There is only one way to lose fat, one way there's ever been to lose fat, and one way there will ever be to lose fat, unless scientists around the world find a way to violate the first law of thermodynamics, that is. And that is to create a calorie deficit by eating less calories than what you burn off consistently. This will always need to be adhered to. If there's ever a magic pill or a weight loss method or a fat loss drink or whatever being promoted to you, then if it works, it creates a calorie deficit. If it doesn't create a calorie deficit, then it does not work. And the issue with these kinds of shortcuts or quick fixes is that they tend to put you into a little bit of a restricted state, or by expansion they tend to indirectly make you a bit miserable. Let's take the juice diet as an example. People say that if you go on this juice diet, it's going to cleanse your intestines and cleanse your body in order to help get rid of all the toxins, which will therefore allow you to lose fat. And this is bullshit, because this is what our liver is for. Our liver actually cleanses toxins. For example, when we drink alcohol, our liver is working extremely hard to try and cleanse all the toxins that we intake from alcohol. You don't need a juice diet to cleanse toxins, because our body does that naturally anyway. It's quite smart. But that's going off track. If we're looking at the fat loss aspects of a juice diet, you're basically being asked to drink a certain amount of juices per day, and that's it, no more. You're completely restricted to drinking these juices. And these juices are most likely calorie controlled, which, if they're calorie controlled, then you know exactly how many calories you're going to be intaking throughout the day. You know how many calories you're going to be intaking throughout the day, then ultimately you can make a better guess as to whether or not you're going to be in a calorie deficit or not. So it can work, provided that you ensure you're in a calorie deficit. But how long are you going to only be drinking juice? I mean, imagine by the time you get to 60 or 70. Are you seriously just going to be drinking juice all day, every single day by that point? Probably not. And this is why it's not a long-term fix, it's a shortcut. Let's take one more example. Let's take keto. Keto is the diet in which restricts you from eating much carbohydrates and starts implementing more questionable methods of attempting to increase your satiety and decrease your calorie intake by, for example, putting butter in your coffee, which in my opinion is fucking crazy. So what you're doing is you're reducing your menu by eliminating a whole food group, carbohydrates. If you're eliminating a whole food group and then increasing the amount of food that you intake from, for example, protein, which is incredibly filling, incredibly satiating, then the chances of you reducing your calorie intake down are increased. However, once again, this is not a long-term fix, because at the end of the day, you're eliminating carbohydrates from your entire diet. Are you seriously going to go your whole life without eating fruit, vegetables, or pasta ever again? At the end of the day, these things are carbohydrate based, and I cannot see you in 5 years' time not eating vegetables, not eating fruit, not eating pasta, not eating rice, not eating cake, not eating chocolate, not eating anything to do with carbohydrates, and simply just focusing on, as I said, butter in your coffee, which is mad. So these are attempts at shortcuts towards fat loss, and they're not going to work after a substantial amount of time. I can almost guarantee you that. So instead of spending time trying to find a shortcut towards your desired outcome, why not actually just do the right thing instead? That time spent trying to find a shortcut and trying to actually adopt these shortcuts could just be spent on doing the right thing and making lasting progress rather than just progress that lasts for about 4 weeks before you decide to give it up. Stop trying to adopt shortcuts because they're shit. You won't stick with them, you won't get long-term results with them, and majority of the time they'll just make you feel a bit more miserable than what you were when you first started, which in my opinion is once again fucking crazy. I hope that helps and I hope that makes sense. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a like. If you got any questions, make sure that you ask me below because I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And if you like this video and want to catch some more tips exactly like this, make sure that you're either following me or subscribe to me. Peace.